Hello, hello, everybody. It's this time of the week when we're coming to you live from North America, somewhere in the continent. And I am your host, Yanko. And here's your host, Kerri.
What's up,
So we're
guys?
very excited to be here and sprinkle some positive energy, talk some talks, perhaps answer some Q&As and see where things go. Hopefully, we'll be able to entertain as much as possible um, and be able to be of some kind of service.
That was weird. Hi,
And
guys.
here goes Kerri. Kerri, take it away.
That was super weird. I like blanked out. Anyway, guys, I love our Fridays. So, Yanko is a hypnotist. He and I connected way back when, and his infectious energy, his joy, and his zest for everything love and life really just attracted me to his energy. And I am a healer. I mean, I don't even like the word coach at this point, because yes, I guess I guide people, but I really do, much like you, have the ability to just tap into your essence and pull apart what it is that we need to look at, so that way you can break free from suffering. And ultimately, that is both what Yanko and I are passionate about, is really helping people experience the joy and the abundance and the peace that this human experience offers us when we examine and discard the belief systems and the narratives and habits that don't allow us to experience that in the first place.
That's right.
Yeah.
And as the name of the show says it, for no particular reason, we don't have a set topic that we talk about. We just go with the flow and whatever inspire us and see where our conversation take us. So again, I want to remind anybody that's looking at or watching us live to ask any questions. We'll be happy to take any questions and perhaps help you answer some questions for you and make it more interactive.
Yeah, for sure. Questions, anything from addiction to mental health to hypnotizing, what that looks like, how you can get support with that. So really, Yanko and I are versed in a myriad of different modalities and skills. And even more than that, guys, the reality is we both have knowledge, which is much more profound than just um information, because it's visceral. We both experienced and gone through our own journeys and continue to go through the journeys. So we have a very strong knowing about a lot of different things to help you break free from suffering, which is so important to me. Evidently, I'm giving myself a thumbs up. Um, with that being said, what I'm curious, because I've really been sitting in the experience of peace lately. So, what is the word peace cultivate in you? What do you associate with the word peace, Yanko?
Perhaps balance to me, where things are just the right amount of everything, not as either too extreme to too much of the one polarity or the other, just the right amount of like everything, where you just like in in peace, in it's balanced.
So I find peace to be calming. Like, I just have this very deep sense of calm, and I don't need everything to be in balance. I think that to me is
Mhm.
the work that we're meant to do, is can you achieve limitless joy and peace regardless of the external circumstances that you are experiencing in the moment. And as you do that, those external circumstances start to shift into more joyful and peaceful experiences, because you've cultivated that experience within yourself first.
That's right. So, yeah, it's the world. You nailed it right there. The world is it's the reflection that gives you that little push to kind of show you where you like were you having programs or something else that's getting you out of that peace state, because everyone wants to be full whole and complete, and um, through the day-to-day operations you getting bumped out of this whole full and complete, which is peace, and you want to go back to that uh, peace, balance, symbiosis, or you want to whatever you want to call it, and that's the daily process. You're going through that notion of having your buttons pulled or whatever you want to call it, and I think that makes sense for, because I thought about this earlier, like a couple of years back, when I was thinking, well, people leave society and they go to look for peace up in the mountains or in a cave, but then if you're there, there's nothing to reflect back, and you kind of doing yourself a disservice because you're slowing down. There's nothing to like reflect back to get you to show you what you really need to work on, if that makes any sense the way I'm explaining it.
Well, it's interesting. I guess I have two schools of thought with that, because on the one hand, if you can go up into a mountain and produce unconditional love, that's an energy that, right, the world needs, because one person who's sitting in this space of unconditional love is combating, I want to say the number is like 480,000 people who operate in fear. And again, when we're looking to achieve balance, so to speak, you really want people to sit in that love. However, on the other hand, I, like you, recognize the value of experiences with the intention of being able to examine
Hmm.
quickly what it is it's cultivating in you, and then how quickly can you get back to peace and love. And the reason that's
Right.
important is because you're able to heal old habits and paradigms, old ways of thinking through that experience and that angst, but not allowing it to take you off course, which is staying in that peace and love. So, how quickly can you recognize it and then come back to peace? I think is really important.
Yeah, that's very important because um, observing myself on day to day, and seeing how other people operate, I see that a lot of the things that are happening, and I'm not going to speak to other people, but particularly to me, there are programs that are running in the background that I wasn't aware of. Like something will come out and I'll just take it as is instead of analyzing it and catching it. And that's really the work that's involved in the whole process, because there could be something that's affecting how you operate and you're not aware of it on a conscious level of how that affects your life and how that affects your peace, um, and just operating out of that. So anytime you catch yourself and realize that something was happening, you're doing something automatically or an autopilot or based on a belief or something else that was happening in life, um, that there it's really that important part that like takes you further and allows you to expand, because once you find out that there's something that was limiting you, then that limit it's no more there. It just next time around you realize that, and it'll be easier and easier.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? Before this call, I was having this conversation with this incredible woman. And I love her because she's just like me. She keeps it real. She speaks 100. But in the conversation, she was saying how she had this expectation of people, and she had her perspective. And my immediate response to that perspective was my old belief system, right? My old belief system was, oh my God, if I think differently or if I do things differently than you, then I'm bad. That immediately reared its ugly head because it's been something that I have worked on for as long as I can remember. But because I have done so much work, I was immediately able to recognize it. It caused discomfort in my body. And fortunately for me, I'm so highly in tune with myself that I didn't even need an emotional experience. I got tightness in my chest, and I'm like, "Ooh, what's this bringing up for me?" And in the conversation with myself while talking to this person, I was able to recognize that trigger, realize it didn't serve me, release it, and come back to peace,
Right.
which is
Yes.
super important. You're having fun with buttons, Yanko, I see.
No, it's the internet. It's the gremlins. Let me see if I can unfreeze you. For some reason, we get disconnected and reconnected.
Ew.
There you
Now,
go.
maybe the universe is like,
Am I? Am I? Yeah, maybe. Well,
am I
that's the
still
other
frozen?
thing. We're getting. I'm seeing you okay, but you're still frozen. Am I frozen in the screen?
No,
Am I okay?
you're good, but am I frozen?
I see you frozen on the screen, so let me see. All right, let's work some magic. And
Hi.
unfroze. Hi.
Am
Yeah.
I frozen?
Well, yeah, you're frozen.
But
Well, go ahead and refresh your thing, and that'll bring you right back. I'm sorry, you're not unfrozen on the direct feed, but this freezes up for some kind of reason. But anyway, things are happening lately. There you go. Now you're back, and you're not frozen anymore.
I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back.
That's
No, and
right.
that's so important, guys. Like, this is the thing. I was just talking to somebody who was like, you got to show up prepared. You got to have your stuff put together. And I'm like, bullshit. And that's not that they're wrong. Like, if that feels good for them, awesome. At one point in my life, that would have been very true. And that brought me peace, and that's okay. But for now, that is not the case because I need to make sure that I don't know, I don't stress myself out. I want to have fun.
And nothing's wrong with that. I'm kind of the same way. I had beliefs that I have to be a certain way or to show up a certain way or have something done certain way, and just because that was an idea, and I realized that was just an idea or a program that was just um, implanted on my thinking, and
Well, yeah, and
now I
what is
just
a certain
operate
way?
with.
You know what I
I'm
mean? Because
sorry.
what is a certain way? There's 8 billion plus people in the world, right? So each one of us has a different
Right.
perception of the certain way. And so that's the reality is, I said to somebody yesterday, I had this beautiful person reach out to me, and we know somebody who passed away, and she said to me, she's like, I want to respond, but I don't know how. And I'm like, when you filter yourself, you limit yourself. And I think that is where my power lies in this junction in my life. I don't filter myself. I truly don't. Like, I show up outrageous. I mean, my kids probably would tell you sometimes I embarrass them. I have so much fun, but I also, the place where I am least filtered is with love. And let me just tell you, what I know to be true is it's not that people are afraid of love. People are afraid to extend themselves with love for fear of rejection, but it is the love that we exist in. That is our natural being, a state of love. And so I know that if I just show up as love, even if I'm quirky. Even if I seem odd, I attract people because I'm showing up and connecting with them on the very visceral level that they exist in, even if fear exudes most of their being. The reality is that love light is still there. And so I can tap into it no matter who I'm talking to and no matter how weird I may seem to them. And I'll never forget the best compliment I ever got was from this amazing guy named Steve Ramona. Shout out to Steve. He has a TV show called Leading with a Servant Heart or something. Beautiful guy. But we met. I showed up as my quirky self. I was 10 minutes late, all this stuff. And fast forward, he's like, I got to tell you, you're really weird. And I said, yes. It means that I was able to diffuse your misconceptions and yet still be myself, which means you see me as weird because, of course, I'm weird. You're weird. We're supposed to be unique, so we're not going to get it. I love being weird. Are you frozen now, Yanko? Or you just,
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah, because you're just being you, and this is how it's supposed to be. And I think a lot of people forget about that, and a lot of people think that they have to show up a certain way or be something, or and um, I think it's okay to have a role model, but to just be like somebody exactly like a copy, that's not beneficial to anybody. It's um,
but here's the thing.
you're supposed to
My
be you're
model
just you.
was my grandmother. Do you know why? My grandmother was schizophrenic. Okay. So this woman didn't have the lens that most people had. So she would be, I'll never forget, like she would be in downtown. I'm young, I'm like 14. She'd be in her bright pink coat with her cigarette hanging out, screaming 2 blocks out, Kerri! We'd be out to eat and she'd take out her dentures, smack them on the counter, and eat her food with no cares in the world to what anybody else thought because she didn't have that filter. And as I get older, I think about it and I'm like, what a beautiful example of living that I had because she just didn't have that ego to worry about what other people thought about her. But something you said I want to challenge a little bit. I don't think that people forget. I don't think that people know themselves because if we've been conditioned since in utero until we start to examine our beliefs and our habits and our behaviors, then we are just operating under the same behaviors we always have without ever stopping to question whether or not those behaviors serve us. And that's the difference between you and I and a lot of people is it's not that we didn't grow up with those belief systems, those habits. It's just at some point in our life, our experience was shaken up enough to force us to examine, does this even feel good? And if it doesn't, don't I get the opportunity to experience life joyfully? And I'll never forget, and I shared this on an interview I had recently. I've been doing the work since I was 14. I'll be 44 in May. So like 30 years of extensive research on myself. That's a long time. But it wasn't until I'm sitting in my sister's pool of blood from dying that I said, this is bananas. I'm sitting here suffering for because I'm worried about what the world is going to think about me if I chase happy. Forget about it. Because I'd rather be chastised, condemned, and looked down upon than numb out through addiction and live in suffering because I'm afraid that another person who's suffering too is going to judge me. And that's the real thing. And that's the work. That's the does this make you feel good? Do you sit in joy? Do you sit in peace? And if you don't, are you willing to examine why that is? And then the bigger piece is to take the actions needed to then start to experience feeling good, feeling joy, feeling peace. Because you owe it to yourself. And more importantly, in the lens I always come from is I owe it to everybody in this world, because if I know I show up as love, if I know I show up as peace, that is exuding love and peace to other people. And I want to be the example for people so that they can see that they can have it too. Whoo, I just
That's
preached,
right.
Yanko.
Yeah. I mean, it all comes around, and it comes around to the same thing, that everything it's love, and everything else is just a delusion, or like you're missing the mark. You're taking a turn per se. Maybe if you're going in one direction and you thought you're going in one direction, then you miss the mark, and you realize that you missed the mark, and you have to come back and redo everything, or go back to that, to like oneness and in love. That's pretty much it. So I feel that. I hear you. So it's, yeah.
Well, so all right, for all of our audience, because me and Yanko can get on this pedestal of love all day long because we exist in it. But for our audience who may not be as aware as we are, right, of the fact that we create our own reality, right? How do you like what is some of the beliefs and the behaviors that you help break down through hypnosis with your clients, and what can potential clients kind of expect if they were like, oh, I'm going to hit up Yanko to see what Yanko can do so I can break free from whatever? Like, share with people what you do. What's your work?
Well, I help people get in outer state of being, the trance state, which usually it's a state where you go naturally many times during the day. Some people call it daydreaming or anything like it, or fantasizing, or make believe, or pretend, um, where you can for a minute pretend that you're something else, or anything that gives you the ability to um, experience different things, because whatever the mind thinks, or if emotion comes in, the body responds to it. And um, I'm saying that because a lot of the people, when they're aware of that something is going on, they're not aware on a deeper level that there's something going on, because the conscious is like a firewall that sits on the top, and it's about like maybe 20%, and then the other 80% of whatever else it's going on underneath it. So if you one catches itself that it's stuck in a loop, or something else, or some pattern that doesn't longer serve them,
So give an
with the
example so
help of the
I know,
trance state,
because
they can um, break that loop per se, and see alternate options, not like this is the only way and this is how it's been, or like there's no other options, and there's nothing else, because the entire mind, it's so powerful that it could create anything. It gives you all kinds of abilities to do pretty much anything you want to do in your life.
right. So, but I'm just thinking for the random
Sorry, you
person,
were going to say something.
yes, for the random person who's very
Yeah.
curious about,
Okay, I
um,
think maybe we lost connection with you, or maybe you're not hearing me. Okay.
can you hear me? You can't hear me.
Anyways, I'll continue rambling about it. Go ahead. Well, so usually for the random person that doesn't really know, it's almost like a shortcut that gives them ability to pretty much change anything they want to change in their life. Um, like if they have any kind of desire to do something. Maybe pick up a new lifestyle on dieting or a different way of exercising or um, finding out memories or anything else that could serve them better. Anything else that they feel like they're limited to. So pretty much that gives you a alternate way to um, change things, if that makes any sense the way I'm explaining it.
Yeah.
It, it's hard to it's hard to explain it because it's an experience. And usually when I work with people and I do a lot of like demonstrations and education, most of the people are not like really in um, they can't even recognize that outer state of being where the mind is open to learning or to different experiences or there's no limits or anything. um, because that happens on different times. You can be in like the best time when the mind is open to alternate possibilities. I'll give that as example. It's in distress. Like when you're in distress, there's something that opens up and your mind uses all the possibilities around you to help you get out of this distress situation, to learn something else or to do something. Or like, there's stories that mothers pick up like heavy cars when their kid it's pin underneath it because the mind clicks and something else triggers on that moment and they almost have like a superhuman abilities which everyone has with the power of the mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's you go through that experience in every day when you're learning new things or you're getting um, new experiences or new information, and you're not realizing it. And a lot of people use that um, as alternative to, like, say, sell you into things or to get you into do something. And some people use it as like a direct, like in a direct way where they tell you like us on Facebook, smash the button, and they give you just direct commands where you just kind of follow because you're used to, or if there's a pattern or something else that's going on, that's usually it. But once you realize that you have that key and you get into outer state of being, then you know how to go back to it or you recognize it, and then you have a lot more control and you're more empowered to not follow or do something else that other people might want you to do. Um, and I like about that, you were saying that somebody else was able to get you in a trance, and you realize when you're getting in a trance. So once you start doing that and daily basis and everything, then you can realize like, oh, okay, I'm in the state where I can, do something and use that state for something else when that happens.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny when you were saying that people use words to get you to do
So
something. I'm
that's it
thinking,
pretty much in a nutshell. It can be tricky to explain because it's more of a experience. It's kind of like, right,
am I just
yeah.
delayed?
So usually it's, but you're on and off, but that's okay. Like I think yeah, I can hear you. You're okay. It just freezes from time to time. Sometimes that happens to me too, but it's all like connection, other things like it, which is okay. Like um, we're still getting the message across, if that makes any sense.
Well, can you hear what I'm saying right now? Yeah, I'm very delayed. Okay. Anyway, I'm just going to say this because
Yep.
I think that what you were talking about with people like using words to get other people to do things, right? I think of neurolinguistic programming, and I use it to only teach people to affirm themselves. But it is really important that you understand that there is so much power with thought and word, and that you do have the ability to create limitlessly when you break free from your belief system that you can't. And that I think is very helpful too. So I love that you do, you know, like you hypnotize people to help them break free. And the thing that I like about your process is you let people know that they still have to do the work. Guys, you can't just go to a hypnotist and expect that you're going to have all this stuff cleared out and life's going to be easy. That's not reality. And I think, unfortunately, we live in a society where people want the quick fix. They want the fast way of getting their needs met and don't
That's right.
recognize that it takes discipline and awareness and effort consistently to change the experience that we're having. And you and I experience that every day. We have to be disciplined in our thinking. We have to be disciplined in our reactions and curious. And that's really important for people to understand is Yanko is definitely a tool to help open you up to new possibilities and experiences, but you still have to take action and do the work to get that experience you're looking for. You look incredibly serious.
Right. Yep.
This is wild. There's such a delay that I'm just watching you look super duper serious. And as you process whatever it is that's going on. But since I have the four guys, and
Right.
clearly we're having technical difficulties, I'm just going to say, you know, I do very similar work to Yanko, except for I don't hypnotize you. I just literally challenge the hell out of you. I tell people I got them like a fish. And I think it's really important that we recognize that, you can't get a bargain price for living a well lived life. It takes making choices, taking action, being honest with yourself, so that way you can truly experience life the way you want to experience it rather than the way you are. And something that Yanko said that I understand, the universe is going to give you opportunities to change. When you're in suffering, our soul is not meant to suffer. It's meant to know joy and peace. So if you're suffering long enough, the universe is going to provide you with an
Right.
opportunity. My sister passing away, an unexpected car accident, the loss of a child, like the again, the experiences are limitless, but they're all opportunities to help you examine what it is you're sitting in and ask yourself, do I want to continue to go along this path? And if you are miserable, if you are numbing out, if you are apathetic to what it is you experience in your day to day life, that should be a key indicator that you're not living to your full potential, that you're not stretching yourself, that you're living in fear, and that you will be called upon to make a change eventually so that you can hopefully shift out of those experiences into one that is more joyful. And when you are more joyful, to Yanko's point, you are limitless because when you're in joy, you're connected with joy. And that connection is incredible. It's powerful. All right, I'm deferring to you, Yanko, unless
That's
you want
right.
me to keep talking.
No, that's okay. Like, hopefully this will come up good on the end because of intermediate connection issues and other things. But you're right on the money. Like, it's not a magic pill. It's not something that just happens. It's a tool. It's like anything else in life. It gives you another ability to better yourself in a way that you wanted to. Um, so, either hypnosis or it could be Reiki, it could be sound bath because like music can also do the work. I even seen people when once they enter that outer state of being, um, and and usually that slows down the conscious process, and the conscious kind of steps aside and kind of observe what's going on. Then that gives the ability for the whole mind to engage and start doing what needs to be done, that the mind was preventing it from happening in the first place. So sometimes people can enter that state of, like, listening to a music, and they can start crying for no particular reason, because there's something that's getting readjusted, or there's some kind of emotion that's getting released, whatever else is going on. So it's not like a cure for all and everything, but it's an alternate tool to help you get to your goal of whatever you're going to, and makes things a little bit easier. If I can use an analogy with something, it's probably like, maybe you can get an operation without an aesthetic, but it'll be much better if you have an aesthetic, because you're not going to feel the pain as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's still
Well,
going to give you the ability to do.
no,
Go ahead, sorry.
something that you said that I want to touch upon for anybody who is like, maybe hypnosis isn't for me. The reality is our thinking mind is constantly going, going, going. And if you're in
Hmm.
anxiety, right, you're just say you're trying to solve a problem and you're overthinking it, you're not able to come up with insight, a knowing of how to
Hmm.
solve that problem, because you're stuck in this loop of the problem rather than the solution. And so,
Right.
much like Yanko's saying alternate states of reality, I tell people, just get out of your thinking, move your body, go for a walk. To Yanko's point, play music, um do something completely different. When I did business coaching, I constantly would tell my business clients, don't work dogmatically hour after hour. Work for an hour on a problem, get up, go outside, go for a walk, connect with nature, because that allows your brain to take a break from this like constant, like, turning of the gears. And in those moments, that's where you will
Right.
get insight. That's when you get those aha moments, like, I know the answer. And so that is something
Exactly.
every single person has the ability to tap into at any given moment. It's that you have to give yourself permission to get out of your mind, to get out of that loop of thinking. And that is the practice. That's the work that both Yanko and I have to do for ourselves, because we have egos and we still get caught in it. And then we need to like check ourselves and get out of that.
Yeah, it's not that we're, at least I don't think of myself that way. I don't think that, like, I'm better or worse than anybody else. I'm just like everybody else. Um, and and um, and the language, they usually call it a pattern interrupt. When you're stuck in a loop or in a certain pattern, and you break that pattern, that gives you the ability to break the loop and get out of it.
Yep.
Like you said, going in nature, thinking outside the box, whatever. You're not thinking, you're doing something else. Maybe you were reading, then you stop reading, then you get off, you do a little bit of cooking, or you walk the dog, you do something else, you stop that pattern of, like, looping in your brain and getting you there. And then like, early on in life, I didn't really recognize that. I was doing a lot of um, programming and computer, learning, and other things like it. And sometimes I'll be stuck in whatever I'm programming at, say 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'm keep doing it, and I'm stuck in the same way of thinking. And now I'm looking at the time, and I'm getting tired, and it's 3 a.m. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm almost done. I'm gonna keep on going, and then it's 4 o'clock, and then I'm like, oh, I'm almost there. I'm feeling it, like I'm almost there. And it's 5 o'clock, and then I just go, like, I'm completely brain dead at this point.
Yep.
Then I go to sleep. I break the pattern. Then I wake up in the morning, and it's like right there, like it was right there the entire time. I didn't see it. I wasted all this time. I could have get some mental relaxation or something else, but I had to learn it the hard way. So after that, I was like, okay, I gotta break this because I'm too focused on whatever I'm thinking, and just go for a walk, do something else, do some shopping, come back, and then I'll have the ideas, and everything else will keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's with everything in life. And I think that it's important that people recognize. Yesterday I have a community called Having the Tough Conversation. And it teaches people all different tools and strategies, specifically the importance of speaking your truth. But um I was listening to somebody say, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. That's programming within itself. You always have a choice. The choices may not be easy. It may be two shitty choices, but you always have a choice. And when you tell
Right.
yourself you don't have a
Yep.
choice, you're disempowering yourself. And then you're feeling miserable.
Right.
And then that's where apathy kicks in, because now you feel like, well, I don't have a choice, so I might as well accept my fate in life, and I'm just going to live this way and be
Right.
miserable. And sadly, I see way too many people live that way when they don't have to. And the reality is you always have a choice. You have a choice to get up and walk. You have a choice to ask for help. You have a choice to quit your job. You have a choice to leave your marriage. It's not easy, but it's a choice. So you can't disempower yourself by saying you
Right.
don't have a choice, because we always have a choice. And the other thing is again, you got to take action. Like, if you have an insight, if you know what you need to do, you can overthink doing the thing. And so it's, do I need to drink water? Don't think about, oh my God, I need to drink water. Kerri told me I need to drink water, but I haven't drank water, so I'm not drinking water. Right? Instead, I need to drink water, drink the water. Like, just drink the water. And it's so
Exactly.
simple, but
Yep.
it's so hard for people to recognize that you really do have the power. And the other thing I will say is, it kills me when people, and I hear this all the time. I don't like change. You change every time you breathe. You change the minute you get up. You move from one position, you move to another. You change every time you wake up. You're changing. Change is a natural part of the human experience. Everything is cyclic and everything is moving. You're constantly changing. So, for anybody who finds themselves stuck in this narrative that I don't like change, really ask yourself, is it that you don't like change, or are you struggling with the unknown? And that's possible, and that's okay. But don't don't lie to yourself and say you don't like change. Ask yourself, what is it about change that causes me anxiety? And then look at that, so that way you can get to the deeper root of the problem, rather than staying stuck because you, quote unquote, don't like change.
Yeah, I see the same thing with the people I work with, and I love that you have that community with the tough conversations so much, because a lot of the times you just have to have tough conversations. It's not pleasant, but it's it's something that needs to happen. It's something that needs to be done. And and let's face it, we're all adults, and we should be able to have tough conversations. We should be able to sit down with somebody and have a conversation that needs to happen,
Yeah.
and have that conversation. So I love that you have that kind of community, that gives the ability to people to have the conversations they need to have, and so they can move on and not be stuck on whatever they think, they can go through, or just because they're avoiding having a tough conversation or something else that's going on in life. So I love that about it.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you where that came from and how
Yeah.
that transpired is, I I was born with verbal diarrhea of the mouth. I didn't always have tact, but I have always spoken my truth. And as a result, I was able to achieve really great things, guys. I didn't finish high school. I was a CEO in corporate America. There were just so many things that had I not been able to ask for my needs to be met, I wouldn't have had them met. And I also learned that I was going to have the tough conversations so I could learn who couldn't meet my needs. And the reason a lot of people don't have those conversations is because they know when they ask their husband to work out with them over year after year, their husband's not going to. And then once they have that conversation, now they're faced with different choices. And so people just don't have the tough conversations because they recognize that they may not get what it is they're hoping for. And the important thing is how do you learn who can meet your needs, who can help you with the problem you're having, who can support you in a way that feels really nurturing and conducive to your needs if you don't start to ask for them, if you don't start to share them. And then most people struggle with having the tough conversations with themselves, which is why I have this community, because I teach all things. It's all things mental health, physical health, and energetic health. I teach tapping, meditation, the importance of fit. Like there's
Right.
so much in it, but the
Yep.
underlying reason is I teach people how to communicate so that their message is clear, so that their message is always kind. It needs to be delivered kind no matter what, and that it also offers an opportunity to educate. Because here's the thing is even if the person you're sharing your message with doesn't receive it the way you had hoped, you're planting seeds. And that's all we can do. We are all meant to teach each other. And when you plant seeds, who knows, 20 years from now, the conversation you had with a person may click and they're like, oh, wow, I finally get it. And then they take action. And so that is so, I am impassioned about it. And the reason is I will never forget how many successful people in business, and I'm talking about multimillionaires, like super affluent people who have run massive businesses, didn't have the tools to have tough conversations with me, so they left me on red. They just didn't respond to anything. And at first I was really offended. I'm like, what the heck? These are supposed to be my mentors. These are supposed to be people that I admire. But what I realized is even these people who are people in position of power don't know how to deliver a message clearly and kindly, so that they just don't say anything at all. And the problem for me with that, guys, is our brains, our minds need to have a complete story. It needs to. That's just the way it operates. So if I reach out to Yanko and ask him for support for something and he leaves me on red, and I don't have the tools that I have now. Now I'm making up a story. Oh, I must have pissed off Yanko. Yanko doesn't love me. I'm bad for asking for help, right? I don't know. There's a million ways to make up a story, but the reality is you were gonna make up a story. And so I really wanted to provide people with the opportunity to learn how to have the tough conversation. So one, you don't have to make up a story, and two, you're not leaving the person on the other side hanging to make up their own story,
And
because 99%
yep.
of the time those stories are disempowering, they're unkind, and they make us feel like crap.
Yep. Yep. And and that usually happens because of the mental conversations that are happening in everybody's head.
Yep.
That just happens automatically. And I like to tell people that just because you have a thought, it doesn't mean you have to act on it. A lot of the thoughts that are coming to your mind are repetitive thoughts. So you get something, or you watch something, and you read something, and that'll keep coming back, and keep circling through the mind until it gets resolved. So you don't have to take the thoughts and believe that your thoughts are actually you, and act on them and take them as like just they're just thoughts like anything else. So yeah, I love that you have this kind of community and support in allowing people the ability to be able to have the learning tools to how to have tough conversations and be able to um, have some kind of clear communication, I would say, because I think language, it's very limiting. It's not, although it could be a really good tool to pass ideas on, but ultimately, um, you can say one thing and then the other person on the other end will receive it, compare it to their experiences, and bring a meaning to it. And you can try to communicate a meaning in a one way that makes sense to you, but the other person on the receiving end can totally misinterpret the whole conversation and take it a different way based on whatever else they have, like information on their head, um,
Yeah.
and 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 take it and turn it into something else. So yeah, and I just it's a good thing to have, advise my viewers to also come and check that community that you created there. If anybody's looking for um, expanding on the learning skill of communication and having tough conversations.
I love that. Well, so with that, it's about that time to wrap it up. So, guys, again, Yanko and I, as much as we love each other and we truly love having these conversations, this is meant to be in service of you guys. It really is. So if there's something that we brought up that piqued your interest or just brought curiosity, or, even if you had a negative reaction to it, like it felt, ugh, that's cool. Reach out to us because that gives us the ability to dial in and explain it better and or help support you in a meaningful way, which is really what he and I are very passionate about. You can reach me on all platforms, and my website is kerrylewis.coach. If you're interested in the community, it's $22 a month. You get 8 sessions a month, so 2 a week if you want. And the reason I did that is there's just not enough mental health tools available. And it's important to me that I offer something that everybody can get access to. And if you can't pay for it, let me know. And you don't have to. Yes, $22 a month is doable. However, I never want people to not get their needs met. And if that's going to help you heal, then awesome. Where can people find you, Yanko?
Yeah, people can find me pretty much on all major social platforms: Facebook, YouTube, um, even X on Twitter. Um, but mostly my website, which I'm going to roll on the bottom of this recording now. And would love to hear from you. I personally would love to hear your thoughts, either positive or negative, and in anything that you like to share. Let's get engaged. Let's have some conversations. Let's see how we can be of service to each other. Like, what can we do to help, and take it from there. And I just want to add one last thing, and we're gonna say goodbye after that. We're always on Fridays here, streaming live, which gives the ability to engage with you and be able to answer any questions, um, and just have conversations. Every Friday, 1 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern, and 11 o'clock Pacific time. And with that, bring it back to you, and we're going to wrap it up.
Deep gratitude for you guys' time. Be kind and
Any last
gentle.
thoughts, Kerri? Or
I was trying to talk. I don't think it's going. So I'm going to just leave it at y'all's rock. Be kind to yourself and we'll connect soon.
bye bye.